This episode of the Amp Hour is sponsored by Club Jameco, part of Jameco Electronics. Have you ever wanted to sell a kit you dreamed up? Do you have an idea for a new project you're working on, and you think others would like working on it as well? Club Jameco allows you to upload your kit ideas and start selling to your peers. You can earn up to 10% on every approved kit that you sell. Additionally, if you submit an approved product brief, you will get a coupon code for 10% off your next order at jameco.com. To learn more and to see the chosen kit of the week, go to clubjameco.com/theamphour. This is the Amp Hour podcast, recorded May 21st, 2013. Episode 146, Burdensome, Background, Battology.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
Are you wearing your funky new Amp Hour t-shirt?
Oh, it's in the wash. I've already worn it out. It's
Mine's been washed and I am wearing it right now. I tried to tweet a photo of it, but my stupid phone doesn't work.
Oh, yeah.
God, I hate technology. Pisses me off.
You know, you should build your own phone. Just start from scratch.
Oh, yeah,
First
no
principles.
Worries. Yeah, so you're using all that free time I've got, yeah.
A whole video series on how to build a phone.
Right, yeah. Not a problem.
There actually was one at some point where, I forget who, was it Bunny? I think Bunny was doing that.
All right.
He had like a real, or maybe he found a low-tech phone. I remember seeing a really low-tech phone, but it was basically, you know how you can buy GSM cards and interface to those, and that kind of abstracts out some of that stuff. It's pretty cool. So yeah, build your own, man. Done.
Yeah, right.
Do it. Do it.
After I destroy this one with a freaking sledgehammer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe I just attack it with a screwdriver until it dies. Stab it the heart of that bastard.
I don't know, man. I think about. I saw someone talking about that on Reddit today. They said you could only a challenge of only using technology that you understand how it works, right?
Right.
Or I guess taking that to the next level would be only allowed to use technology that you've built yourself.
Right.
And I think I would have a very disconnected experience.
Right, so be fabbing all your own silicon using that chip printer machine in your basement.
Yeah, well,
right?
there's that. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just a cop out.
Well, no, I think if you can make your own, you'd have to make the silicon. It would have to stop at some point, right? Because even if you're making your own chips, you're not necessarily refining the silicon.
Point at whatever you can buy at at your local department store,
At the hardware store. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
in the final phone.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
No, I don't think so.
Draw the line somewhere. My ass. Anyway, the Amp Hour t-shirts are really cool. The Teespring one is infinitely better than the Printfection one. I'm very disappointed with the Printfection.
Yeah, I'm working with them. So if any of the people that won the ones from the contest last time, we're not going to give out any more t-shirts until then, but we will start contests right after we get that all sorted. We have new prototypes coming through, so people know how that is with prototypes,
Right.
We just got lucky on the first one, Sometimes you get lucky with prototypes, right?
No, yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
That actually happened to me last week.
Woohoo!
So
I saw your tweet.
Yeah, I got a new one in, and I'm just like, I fired it up. I got all my protections in place, making sure I current limit my supply, and I'm watching everything like a hawk. I'm watching the noise on my power rails and everything, and
spelling for any issues.
Yeah, exactly. Feeling for heat. Like just watching everything. Just everything you need to do when you bring it up aboard. And it just worked. And
awesome.
a part of me was just like, oh, I know I should be happy. And I was happy, it was good. But
right.
Sometimes you want a puzzle to solve, right? It's like...
I had a puzzle the other day.
Yeah? Was it
I tweeted
a new board or what?
Yeah, it's a new board, thing I'm working on. And it was, there was this really minor offset issue, right? I'm talking,
tell me about
really,
it.
Right? We're down in the microvolts, right? So we're down in the Chris Gamble world at your former life at Keithley, right? And and it was annoying, and I couldn't figure it out. And
so this is on like the input to an op amp or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And with a large gain, right? And I figured, well, I've done this, but I was using a new chip, and I thought, well, is the new chip at fault? And I'm checking the data sheet, and I'm going, no, it shouldn't be. It should be, your data sheet even gives nice little histogram plots of sample devices and what offset they should have, right? And like 80% of them are within this margin, blah blah blah. And I'm going even like mine would have to be right off the outlier bell curve, right, to be this bad. And so I ruled out that, and I thought, it's got to be, it's a new layout board, right? Something's wrong with my layout, so I'm hacking.
Like dirty or bad layout or something. Diode
bad
drops
layout or something. Yeah, or the wrong, ground points in the wrong location, and there's, some extra circuitry on there. It's getting a drop through the power plane, and so my engineering mind starts going and thinking of a dozen things it could be, right?
Yeah. Oh, let me guess the resolution here. Did you change out the chip? Did you just swap it out and it worked, and that was just one bad chip?
No. I swapped them dozens of times, and I'm putting trying them in different boards and all sorts of things. And and I even put it in an old layout board, the same chip, and it worked perfectly. And I thought, it's got to be the layout, and that led me down. No, turns out, you want to know what it was?
I'm trying to think of it. This is like the escalation, right? This is like, you get the obvious stuff first, and you're just like, this might be a real one. We might be chasing a real one here. Was it a bias current? I mean, could it have been a bias current across resistance or anything?
No, it's not that complex.
Was it dirty?
Nope.
Were you measuring it wrong?
I can see your engineering mind, that low measurement engineering mind going, right? No, you're going...
were you measuring it wrong?
No.
I guess you'll have to give me a hint.
I'll have to put you out of your misery. All right.
Yeah.
It was the bloody power supply.
Oh no.
Well, it wasn't just the power supply, right? It was.
Wait a second.
It looks like a thing with it's a issue with the chip, right? The chip is actually its offset voltage is power supply dependent, and they don't tell you that in the data sheet.
So what are the rails? What rails were you on this?
Plus minus 2.5. Round about plus minus 2 volts.
Okay.
Thereabouts, just over. So really low rails. And it only worked when I took it down to 2.8 volts, like took it under 3 volts. Over that, the offset sort of just goes through the roof in terms of, it's still within like 0.05% or something, but that's not good enough, right? So,
right.
And it was bugging me. And, they don't tell you that in the data sheet. They do have that histogram plot of taken at different power supply voltages, like 2.7 volts and 5 volts. But it doesn't hint at that, when you have a largish gain on there, that the offset voltage is...
So you weren't like starting to push the rail or anything, right? So the input was it near the rail or anything, or no?
No. And these are rail-to-rail inputs. No, it was smack in the middle, right? Smack in the middle. Yep. So, yeah.
That is
bastard
tricky. And so what was the resolution then? What did you do?
Oh, the solution is to get a precise circuit is just whack a voltage regulator in, whereas I was just going to power it just from some batteries, and of course as the batteries drop, the offset voltage will change.
Oh, that's a real big problem then. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that wouldn't be a problem if it might get out the door like that, right? Where you're testing it as you get this device out the door, and you're like, it looks great. I'm always using fresh batteries, but then
that's right.
Once a user gets it in their hand, they're like, this starts to suck.
Well, it's actually the other way around because the offset voltage is worse at a higher supply voltage. So when you put fresh batteries in, and that was the problem, I put fresh batteries in, and the offset voltage was high. And it's only when the batteries get to right down near the end of their life that the offset voltage is nice where I expect it to be. So,
really, is that on the data sheet? Did you find that on the data sheet?
No. This is through practical experimentation with this chip, and it's a great chip. I love this chip. Right, it's an analog devices part, and it's
one?
a really schmicko chip.
Are you willing to say which one or no?
880, 86, bloody blah blah. I don't know.
One
of those numbers. I can't remember off the top of my head.
8000 series.
Yeah, one of those 4-digit 8000 series.
Yeah, I've used those. Those are nice.
Yeah, they're very nice, very nice.
Not too bad price.
And not too shabby at all. But yeah, this little pain in the ass problem, and it happens every time. My mind goes into complex engineering troubleshooting mode and thinks So I use all my experience of every problem I've ever had over the decades, and I go, right, it could be this, and it's like, oh, jeez, you just make an idiot out of yourself. Yeah, the burden of experience.
It's like the acid trip of troubleshooting, right? You're having flashbacks of, it could be this.
Oh, that's right. I remember that bastard from 10 years ago. It's the same trap, and it's not. So can that be the title of today's show, The Burden of Experience?
Yeah, something like that. We can put that in there.
Something. Yeah.
I don't know, man. That still doesn't strike my ear as it. That might come back and hit you still. I mean, so you're saying you put a voltage regulator on there and now everything's fine?
Well, I haven't put a voltage regulator on yet, but I've tested it with my bench
I think we might hear about
individual
this.
batteries.
We might hear about this in future shows. This might not be over yet. To be continued.
No, I'm pretty sure I've nailed it. I've tracked it down, and that's it. So
once you do, you can make it into one of your little fundamental Fridays, and I can learn something from it because I still don't understand that mechanism.
Right. Well, neither do I. It's internal to the op amp, right? It's inherent to the op amp. So I don't know what's actually going on there at the individual transistor level to cause this. But
yeah,
sure enough.
I had a weird experience a couple days. I guess it was last week or so when I was making that. So I was working on a new T-shirt idea, right? The one that I tweeted out and I sent it to you, and a lot of people didn't get it. But I was pointing to all the bases on the LM324 schematic with all these NPN and PNP transistors, and it was all your base are belong to us. And if there is interest in that, I am still willing to make a T-shirt, but I just don't think there's as much interest as
there's not.
As
even when I asked you to explain it to me, I still didn't get it.
I know.
I thought, what's the joke? There is no joke. It's stupid.
You'd have to know it was like this thing back in the '90s. It was
come on.
It's pretty cryptic, but anyways, it'd be cryptic and then electronics on top of it. But anyways, so I was redrawing this LM324 schematic, right? I was just like looking at it, and I think it was in the Art of Electronics is in there in a simplified form. But it's just kind of like as you look at things over the years, it just started to fall into place a little bit more. I'm like, oh, I kind of get this now. Like it's like I always ignored a lot of the schematics and stuff from the lower level op amp stuff, and the LM324 is a simpler one in terms of modern terms, but it just feels good as you kind of start to see the matrix, a little bit more.
Got it.
It's just it's a good feeling. And so people that don't yet, the ones that's what I really want to say is that if you don't get it yet, right? If you're looking at schematics and you're just starting out, it'll come eventually. Really it's about pattern recognition. That's a big part of electronics, I think, is at first it just looks like gobbledygook. I remember looking at early schematics and being like, not early schematics, but just early ones for me, and just being like, well, which directions are the signals even going in? If someone is, they maybe ran out of room on the page and they start to loop signals back around, you don't know if it's going in or coming out, and you're like,
it's Bob P's style, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You remember Bob Pease used to draw the most obscure hand-drawn circuits, right? They'd be like all over the shop, like spaghetti. So you couldn't recognize any common building blocks.
Yeah, the secret of his success. Then he needs to teach you what the hell he's talking
Obfuscate.
about. Right?
Yeah. Obfuscation.
Oh yeah, that actually could be a good contest, a T-shirt contest for us. I used to do that with a friend at work. We would draw obfuscated circuits, right? You take a circuit and then you
standard
you put
building block, and then
you put in diode drops where there shouldn't be, and loop signals back around. You allow current paths, and we were bored sometimes. But yeah, it does get better. That's what I'm trying to say. Is that if you're not if you're starting out, or even if you're on your way towards learning more electronics, it's just about pattern recognition and really then in implementing those things as well, right? I mean, I think these days it's getting easier because, there's all these great app notes and great circuits that are given to you from vendors and, as part of, these higher level integration chips. But even with the lower level stuff, a lot of times it's just kind of, cookbook style sometimes, not always, but sometimes. Yep. And then the real art is kind of integrating everything and throwing in the glue components in order to, get that dial drop you need or get the voltage range to where you need it to be, that kind of thing. That's the fun stuff, I think.
I think you've given me an idea for a T-shirt.
Oh, another one?
Yep. I'll tell you after the show.
Okay. All right. Write it down. You write it down?
Yeah, I've written it down.
We forget way too
otherwise
often.
Forget.
Yeah.
and then I forget where I've written it down.
Yeah. Well, that's just getting old, man.
Post-it notes everywhere, and it's like, there's not, there's not already 10,000 post-it notes around my lab,
Right. Yep.
Man.
So I just got back from Hamvention.
How was it?
Nerdy.
Based on the photo, yeah.
And old, really old. Like so we had our meetup on Saturday night, which is great. Bunch of guys showed up. It was really, really great to meet everybody. But these guys are like the youngest ones of the bunch. Like
I was going to say, everyone in the photo looks relatively young, almost.
Yeah. So apparently, last year there was a survey of ham radio. I think participants, not necessarily people that just have licenses.
And they were getting younger, weren't they?
Last year was the first year it didn't go up, I think, but last year was still 61 was the average age of amateur radio enthusiasts. So 61 is pretty up there, And I saw it as, I got on the bus, there was some oxygen tanks and there was a lot of gray hair. And they were all, they were great people, but it was just the vintage, it's like that's just what happened back then. It's just when people were getting into technology, they would go into ham radio immediately, and then a lot of them stuck, and that's awesome. And that's why it's been able to persist, I think. But it is an aging population in general. So
yes, it is.
We talked about it a couple times too of when they took the technician class license, which is what I have. It was a couple, maybe less than 10 years ago, I think. They took out the CW requirement or Morse code requirement. Yep. And that actually did a lot for the hobby because
yes, it did.
That was very restrictive, and we got into a discussion about that too because that's like a lot of things, right? Even just general general electronics, right? You hear people talk about Arduino. I've been down on Arduino at one point, but the ultimate conclusion has been, no, it's a good thing. Opening up any kind of hobby in any way possible is always a good thing, in my opinion. You always have people that are cranky and, back in my day, some people say that.
I was a boy.
Yeah.
This Arduino rubbish.
Right, exactly. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's still going to happen in any hobby, in any... there's always going to be codgers like that, but in general, you can still have elite members within a hobby and then open it up to the general population, and it is always a net positive, in my opinion. So it's
I totally agree.
Happening with Arduino as well. Yeah, I mean, you've seen it. You've seen the hobbyist electronics market come back, so you've seen that firsthand, right?
Yeah, exactly. It almost died. I mean, geez, who wants that? Right? Yeah, I'd rather have everyone using freaking Arduinos than have the whole thing die out.
Right, exactly.
You've got to be kidding me.
Right, and I think I think Arduino on its own has a lot of benefits as well. So,
yep,
that's a whole other thing. So, and we've talked about that before. But Hamvention was great. So it was actually a former guest, Dr. Greg Charvat, who actually had encouraged me to go, and so I got to hang out with him all weekend. And one of his college buddies, Scott, and then I met all the people in the photo here, and it was great. It was
cool,
awesome.
A grand total of 3 amp-hour shirts there.
Yeah, I probably saw about 5. 2 of the other guys left, had to leave.
Right,
but I think I saw about 5 or 6 shirts the weekend, and yeah, it was really cool. The flea market was a sight to behold. Probably the biggest one I've ever been in.
Are these out of the boots of the car? Sorry, trunk.
Yeah, like at that Wyong field day that you went to.
Wyong field day that I went to. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So they're actually boots of cars and.
Yeah. Well, some people set up like tents, and there were some like more formalized vendors and stuff, but the formal vendors were inside. But then there were some bigger vendors outside as well.
All right.
But yeah, man, a lot of people. I think the only way I could really tell how many people were there was they did drawings, and so they had ticket numbers, and I saw ticket numbers as high as about 25,000. So,
wow. No way.
I think they had that many tickets sold at least. Not saying that means everybody's there, but yeah, that's a lot of people. A lot of old people. Yeah, and
crazy.
It was weird too because it was skewed towards the earlier in the day, right? So it goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sunday is kind of it's a 3-day thing. Sunday is kind of a non-issue day. I mean, I actually didn't even go on Sunday. So apparently Friday morning, and maybe this was like that at Wyong, but Friday morning, like that is the time to get there that's when all the deals are to be had, right?
Okay.
So when I actually got there about 1:00 on Friday. By the time I was getting there were already people leaving with their hauls, right?
If they loot,
yeah. And there were some deals to be had. So Greg got like some 1944 radio for like, I think he paid like $100 for it or something like that, and they ended up fixing it that night in this hotel room, like getting on the air and everything. And so I think I got videos. I got a bunch of videos that I still have to post, but then he got another one.
Please do.
Of like this gear-driven, like all it was all like gear. It was like looking at a clock inside, and that was awesome. Yeah, man,
I love it.
Radios. I was in the market for an LCR meter. Didn't see any of those. I was also in the market for a function generator, but those were not the right price and the right availability.
Right.
Unfortunately, eBay has kind of decimated some of the availability of stuff. But
somebody, I think, tweeted. I think it was Hamvention. Could have been Maker Faire, but I think it was Hamvention. Somebody tweeted a photo of these cheap multimeters. These cheap $2 multimeters, and they were selling them for $20.
Yes, that did happen a lot. You'd go up to a table and you'd be like, they'd be asking like $400 for a Tech 465 or something like that.
Oh, right. Jeez, I could even get one here for half that.
I know, right? Well, that's the thing. And so some of it was the people were, they're into ham radio, but they didn't build anything, right? And then basically anything with the screen, they would just mark it up and hope that they'd be able to get a lot for it. Other times there'd be people selling for others, right? And some of it's just weird pricing, and you did have to haggle a lot, and you had to, talk people down, but which is some of the fun,
Right.
But it's. I think eBay kind of ruined some of that stuff, but on the other side of it, it's like, well, it also makes this available the rest of the year and better deals. So
exactly.
I mean, you know all about that, right? You buy and sell all the time.
I buy and sell on eBay a lot. Yep. Yeah.
Do you ever buy outside the country or no?
Yes. Yeah. That's what I used to do all the time. That's one of my things I did. Is I would always look for the deals outside of Australia and then resell them back inside Australia for a profit.
Huh. How do you deal with
for fun? It was mostly for fun, because I like test gear. But but no, I would, I could easily double or triple my money on almost everything I bought.
Really, that's pretty good.
Yeah, because a lot of Australians just will refuse to buy from overseas because they think they're going to get scammed or something. Right, so I take that risk, and I never got scammed. Of course,
right.
It's a bit of a myth.
Because you know what you're looking at.
And I know what I'm looking at, and really, you buy from somebody with 10,000 feedback, they aren't scammers, right? I mean, it's just, But anyway, there's a lot of people who just refuse to, buy outside of Australia, and so you can resell them here in Australia for quite a significant margin.
I guess if that market's smaller, then too, if there's less on the market there, then you can
exactly.
There's
less
on
the market, and that's right.
Yeah, and then you get to keep whatever you want, so that's good.
Yeah.
Man, I never got into the eBay thing that much. I mean,
right.
I bought it. I never really liked it. You know, like that. There was a time when it was like really, really big, I remember, and it's kind of died off a little more now, but
all right.
I don't know.
I would just love getting that bargain, you know. So you would sit there for months just waiting for that, you know, sub $100 Fluke 87.5 to come on sale, you know, because somebody goofed the title in the, you know, so everyone is searching for Fluke multi, you know, it'd be called Fruke or something, you know, with an R instead of an L, you know, they type it wrong and it doesn't show up in the search, and, you know, or they get the model, they type in the model number wrong or something like that, you know, so there's various searches. And when you see that bargain, or somebody who just has no idea what they're worth and they put a buy it now price on and you manage to just grab it, holy crap, $50, I can sell that for $500, buy it now, you know. And
and then shipping doesn't even matter at that point, right?
No, shipping almost doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But of course, that's the other thing. You know, sitting and waiting for a bargain on shipping as well. So you may actually pay above market for the unit itself in the US, right, for example. But they would offer cheap shipping. So you go, okay, I'm paying above market rate for this thing, but the shipping's really cheap, and I know that if I get it here cheaply, I can resell it for double. You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, I was thinking about this kind of stuff too, because I've worked with people before, and it's like, you know, like they just don't optimize like that. And I was trying to imagine how you, because that seems like a trait that is like very engineer, not centric, but it's very characteristic of engineers, right? That wanting to optimize in that situation.
Yep.
You know, and it does happen. It carries over into finance. But I think about the same thing with, like, you know, like being on a distributor's website and trying to figure out where that price point is. It's like, you know, I could buy just 10 resistors, but it just makes sense
I'll buy
to
50.
have.
Yeah,
exactly, or 100,
exactly.
or buy a whole reel, because, you know, I'll just either resell them or just I know I'll need them. And you always have that balance point, and you just kind of have to keep it all in your head. And I've met people that don't have that before, and almost always in other fields. And I just wonder, how is that a taught thing? I mean, how do you get that? Is it just from?
Know.
You know, like, is it just the performance versus price kind of thing? Is that the cheapskate in all of us kind of coming out? Is that the manifestation of cheapskateness? Right?
I think it's got to be. It's got to be.
Because Lord knows that I'm a cheapskate, and I think you've said that you are
too.
Yeah. And so sometimes, like, I don't mind paying a premium if I really want that. If I desperately want it, I'll almost pay anything to get it, kind of thing. But you also know the variable of your time, right? I mean, like, you know, like,
sometimes that doesn't matter, right? Sometimes, you know, it's my hobby. I just do it for fun.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So you always kind of hold those variables in your head. You're kind of balancing, but I don't know. I was thinking about how you could teach that to someone who's like a librarian or something. I don't know. Maybe it's just not as relevant in other fields. But
it's not. They go, and why do I need to learn this? It's, you know,
right. But then they have skills that I don't have, like empathy. You know,
right? Got it.
Whatever the hell that feels like.
Tactfulness, you know, or something.
Yeah, exactry.
You know?
Yeah, public speaking.
Some useful life skill that, you know, I just don't need.
Right. How to iron my shirt.
Right.
I know, thank you.
Oh, dear. We're a weird bunch, us engineers.
Yes, we are. We're odd ducks. So, yeah, Hamvention was fun. Lot of good deals and good times, and beers were drank, and stories were swapped, and I hope we can do many more meetups in the future, because that was honestly the best part. I mean, like, getting to meet people.
Yeah, it's cool.
You know, that's really just great. I mean,
I really enjoyed when the trade show last year, where I, you know, had my stand and got to meet everyone. That was pretty cool.
Right, exactly. It's like, because you know, like, I'm always amazed at, like, how many cool jobs there are out there, you know? So I'd be talking to people, swapping stories, whatever, and I'm like, really? You work on that? Even if it's just a hobby. Like Brad, one of the guys I met, he's just like, oh, yeah, you know, I got the 6-foot satellite dish in my backyard, and I, you know, do these crazy-ass radio arrays. He's doing, like, radio telescopes and stuff like that. And I'm just like, really? This is... you know, like, some of the things that I'm like, wow, that I just can't fathom some of that stuff, you know?
Yep.
Same thing with work. Some of the people that just were working on cool things. And I really, so I feel really bad because I can't remember his name. But he gave me something that is really cool, and I will definitely try and find out his name. I emailed a couple people to try and remember, trying to figure it out. But so this is a trend. He works at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is in Dayton, right? And so every group, and he works on like military research and stuff like that. And he had a coin with him, and I'm like, well, what the hell is that thing? He showed it to me, and I'm like, what the hell is that thing? And he's like, well, here. So he gave me a second one that he had, and it's amazing. It's called a challenge coin. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
It's apparently it's a thing in the States, but it's different divisions of, I guess, military and research and everything else. They all have their own branded coin, and this thing is pretty hefty.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a challenge coin, right?
Yes, the coin thing in America is really big. It's really big in the all these geo coins and stuff. If you're into caching, if you're into geocaching, geocaching for you, every team has their own minted coin,
that's cool.
To get a team's, coin, a rare coin, to find one in a cache is a big deal and all that sort of jazz, and yeah. Anyway, go on.
So that's not quite the same thing here. It's a little simpler, but so the coin itself is amazing, but the challenge coin is if you're out and you meet someone from a different division and you challenge them and they do not produce their coin, they have to buy you a drink.
Oh, right.
Which is a great tradition. I just love traditions like that.
Right, so you've got a challenge as in just, do you have the coin on you?
Do you have your coin on you? Yeah. Oh, you work there? Do you have your coin on you? And I feel terrible that I don't remember his name. I was talking to him for a little while. But he was so nice to give me a coin, and it's so cool. And but thank you. Mystery coin giver. So cool. And I just love traditions like that. I think that's really fun.
Yep.
It's just really cool.
Hey, you've just given me an idea for a perk. Yeah? There you go, a useless perk for my upcoming crowdsource-funded project.
Oh.
I could have my EEV blog minted coin with my head on it.
That'd be cool.
Why the hell you'd want one? I have no idea.
Dave Bucks. and then, right. And then when you're doing a video, right, you could hold up the coin and be like, "Buck this."
No, sorry.
No, is that too?
No, that's too American.
Yeah. Well,
no,
I like that idea.
Minted coins, right? Yeah, you
very
do.
Cool.
You think it's all right for a perk?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And that's coming up, huh? That's gonna finally happen.
That's going to finally happen. Yes, my first crowdsource-funded project. Why? I don't know. Just because everyone else is doing it.
Dave doesn't have enough to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can see how much work is involved in this. Like I've set up my account on. I'm not using Kickstarter. I'm going to use the Australian version, Possible, and I'm setting up my account on there, and I'm going through the motions of putting the whole thing on there, and I have to do a video for it, and I've got to. Do photos and I got to do a video. Go figure. But pain in the ass. All right. Got to shoot another video. I'm sick of doing videos.
Yep.
Anyway, I can see how much work is involved in setting up a good crowdsource funded campaign.
Yeah, you don't usually see single person teams, even when it's like a single focus kind of like when it's an artist and they're doing like an album by themselves or something. Usually there's a team helping out in some capacity, family members or producers or something like that. So yeah, it's no small task for sure, and especially I remember Stompy, the one that I backed, that walking hexapod robot. I remember they said they.
Yep.
If you do well, you have a lot of stuff to send out. And it's not necessarily the ordering of stickers or T-shirts and everything else. It's the logistics of getting it to people, and getting the right address.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, if I don't know how popular this would be. It may not be that popular, but anyway, if it does turn out to be popular and I have to ship 1,000 of them or 2,000 of them or something, I may have to look into hiring some someone who does the fulfillment for me. So I just give them a list of names and addresses, and this fulfillment company will pack and ship them. because me packing and shipping, a couple of thousand units, I'd, have to stop the blog for a month and...
Yeah, exactly. It's no small task. Yeah. And actually, we're seeing some of this stuff, too, for, like, crowdsourced type of stuff. Not just for the logistical, pack and ship kind of stuff. They're actually I'm starting to see some of these things pop up. Services for helping develop hardware after people put hardware, like, ideas on there. Like, actually... setting up factories, kind of like what Scott Miller does for Dragon, but like on a smaller scale, just for a campaign. And it's like, it doesn't seem like it would be it seems very, very niche, like just very constrained of how useful it might be to the, if you actually scale to a full company. But it's out there. There's different cloud fab type services, or what is that called? Cloud fab was something else. It was there's something with cloud in it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so it's
and
interesting.
You get everyone to handle it all for you and all that sort of jazz,
Yeah.
But I've got a local guy who says he wants to do everything for me. He wants to, pack, test, ship, do the whole, the whole.
We should start a pool. We should start a pool for when crowdfunding falls out of favor.
Right. Okay.
You know what's going to happen, right? Ebbs and flows.
Well, yeah, maybe, but I don't know. Is it too big to fail? Now, until the government regulators come in. I mean, that's the next step, right? Is the government regulators will come in.
Well, and that will happen in the States when that Jobs Act kicks in.
Right?
Yeah, if it kicks in ever. I mean, I think it's still in limbo. But yeah, if there's any kind of if it's just money type of thing, when it's not products and it's people are investing money into companies instead of just buying, pre-purchasing and supporting companies like that, then there will definitely be some stuff in there. But I think it'll really have to take some pretty terrible Bernie Madoff style swindling, I think, for it to fall out of favor. It's going to happen in a big way at some point, and it's just a matter of time. Not to be a pessimist, but come on.
Yeah, no, you can just see
hucksters
something.
Everywhere.
You're right. Speaking of someone who's, I think, probably going to make a mozza on a crowdsource funded campaign, Jerry. She's announced who hopefully we'll have on the show soon.
Yeah, we're hoping for next week. We're still working on scheduling with her, but maybe by next week. And,
she has announced that she will start a campaign for her new augmented reality glasses thingamabob. Sorry, Jerry, it's a thingamabob.
Yeah, well, until it's for sale, then it's a thingamabob,
Right. And then that's the classic, example of she'll probably. There's a lot of gamers out there who'll probably lap all this stuff up, and I think it seems could like be a very
technology.
Successful. Yeah, I think it could be a very successful Kickstarter campagn. But then the problem is, you've got to produce it.
Yeah,
and therein lies the problem.
Yeah. Well, I'm very much looking for.
It's not easy.
I talked to her a little bit a while back before it was all public about stuff, and we were talking about I just wonder if she's going to be able to put it in an ASIC, right? Because they have a very aggressive price target too. I think I saw published. $200 or something.
She wants to sell at $200, and it's not just the glasses. It has to include the screen and everything. There's a lot of kit in there, so I think her margins are going to be slim.
Yeah, maybe. But if she licenses it to people, companies for developing games on, then that's where the money is. But yeah, we can talk to her about it when she gets on here. But
cool.
I really look forward to hearing about the tech too, because we know she's big FPGAs and stuff, and I remember talking to her a little bit. And she was talking about just the arrays of FPGAs she needed to implement stuff with. So should be.
Well, she is working on an ASIC. I read it in an article that she's working on a video processing ASIC or something like that. So Yep.
Very cool. And she's working with her partner Rick as well. So that's important to mention. Rick's doing software and she's doing hardware. So very cool stuff.
But the whole fascinating thing, if people haven't heard, this is what stunned me and a lot of people. Right. Mm-hmm. Is that Valve, her former company, actually gave her the technology. They said, here, we don't want it anymore. Take it. It's legally yours. Do whatever you want with it. We won't sue you. And, I thought, wow, that hardly ever happens in this industry.
Yes, that was very different.
That was a big deal.
Yes, I agree. And, I mean, I think that speaks highly of, them, right?
Hugely, because of Valve,
Yeah, I mean,
they knew they weren't going to do anything with it, right? And if they just kept all the technology themselves, it'd just die out in a back room somewhere, right? It'd never see the light of day. Why not just give it to someone who's enthusiastic and it promotes the industry?
Well, I think it's even more than that, though. I think...
What is it?
No, because, releasing a technology like that, right? I mean, it's basically releasing a potential competitor into the wild, right? I mean, that's the really interesting thing to me.
It
right?
is, but
because they were betting on one. Okay, go ahead.
They aren't just competitors, right? They could be an ally.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true.
Right? Because they're a gaming company, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. They get favorable licensing deal from them in the future or something like that.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree. It is very, very interesting.
It's very cool
stuff, and I hope Jerry can make it on next week. Last I talked to her, she was very busy setting up meetings with people, so I'm sure there's a lot of interest out there.
Meetings. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All the fun has just instantly died out of it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy. Yep. Screw that. Meetings. Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to do
you don't have to
anymore.
do that anymore, huh?
No, as funny as they were. Yeah, I just have little meetings with myself in the corner and talk to myself.
Talk to yourself. Yeah. You should record a video yourself and then play it back and talk to
right.
it. Yeah.
The great thing is, though, is that I always win.
That's true. It's like playing tennis. Well, no, I guess that's like the Mitch Hedberg joke where he talks about how he hates playing tennis against a brick wall because brick wall always wins.
Right. Exactly. Oh, boy.
You could build a robot to argue with you.
Once again, with my infinite amount of time and resources, I will build myself a...
Well, if you don't have time to build your own robot, you could also purchase a robot kit from our sponsor, Jameco Electronics. How you like that?
That was impressive.
Yeah.
That was impressive. He's a true professional, folks.
Yes, that's right. But yes,
true
Jameco
radio professional,
and Club Jameco.
Although you are 15 minutes late, sorry.
Oh, well.
It was supposed to be in the centre of the show, so you're supposed to,
Yeah, we'll just have to go an hour.
the show towards the centre sponsor segment.
Well, I'll just carry that show to the hour and a half mark. We'll be fine then. No complaints from the audience.
All right.
Yeah. Our sponsor, Club Jameco, continues to be a sponsor, so we thank them for that. If people don't know, you can actually submit your own kit idea, and you can make up to 10% on it if you get it approved by the community. And then also, if you actually just submit a project brief, and that gets approved as this isn't a blank sheet of paper, then you also get a 10% off coupon on your next order at Jameco, at which point you could purchase our kit of the week, which is this little robot kit.
It's a robot.
What's it called? The J-Bot robot kit. Yeah, V2. So it's
it kind of looks like Wall-E.
Yeah, I like that movie.
With the stereo ultrasonic eyes,
Yeah, exactly. The ping sensor and everything. So looks like a cool little kit. I mean, it's Arduino based, and then the base is included. So it's not as much soldering, but then you can also integrate your own electronics on top and everything because it does have a breadboard, and you could add other sensors and whatever you can dream up to put into the Arduino. So, very cool kit.
Very nice. Check it out.
Yeah, check out clubjameco.com/theamphour, and you'll be able to find that kit and then more info about submitting your own kit.
Fantastic.
All right. Did you see there was actually another robot kit, and other kits from the Arduino team, actually. They had a bunch of announcements this weekend. Did you see those?
Oh, I already heard about the Wi-Fi one. It's like, Arduino's got Wi-Fi and Linux. Oh, yeah, blah, blah.
Well, I thought the Linux was interesting. I mean, I wouldn't have thought to put... Linux and Arduino don't really go together in my brain because...
No, because it usually doesn't have the horsepower to run it.
Right, well, yeah, and I mean, to do full-blown Linux, you need a memory management unit, and I don't know
this isn't full-blown Linux. I think this is a special...
Oh, it's like embedded Linux. Like micro-C type Linux.
Cut down. Yeah, I don't know what the... hang on, it's here somewhere.
Yeah, it's...
I don't know.
I've worked with micro-C a little bit before, micro-C Linux and other... I think there's other ones out there. I think some of the other early dev boards had reduced Linux without the memory management unit. And not like I know what I'm talking about.
Linino.
You're starting to stretch it with these names.
Linino. Yeah, I know.
Still like the product. Just the names are getting a little out there.
So it's a MIPS GNU Linux based on OpenWRT.
OpenWRT.
There you go, for all you aficionados out there who will know what we're talking about, because we have no idea, do we?
Yeah, no, that one is just... I think that might be the Wi-Fi stack or something like that.
It could be, but... stack or something, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, and, it makes sense that they would need a little bit more horsepower for, actually doing Wi-Fi. You look at a lot of the cards that, like a lot of the modules that plug in to do Wi-Fi or, Bluetooth and other stuff like that. There's usually a secondary process on it, and they're just doing
of course.
a stack, and handling all the communications. And then you just talk to it through SPI or I2C or something. So it's,
if this is all done in the 18 mega... I mean, how many resources are left over to actually run your sketch after doing all the stack internal? I mean, there's a reason why those Wi-Fi modules have their own dedicated processing. Is because so you offload all that. So, and
I think more so, you just get into just complexity issues, right? I mean, like Arduino as a starter platform is great because it's it's a sequential, easy to write a sequential program that just runs in a loop. But when you start doing Wi-Fi type stuff or networking type stuff, sometimes you need to get into like real-time operating systems or other types of. If it's full-blown Linux, then it's a real operating system, right? It's not deterministic at that point.
Yep.
So it could get messy, but neither of us have enough details on that stuff.
No.
The interesting thing is that it's it's just that they are moving in that direction. So I wish them well.
It's fairly obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny about the name, though, because I remember I think it was the first Open Hardware Summit. Massimo Banzi was up on stage. It's like, this is going to be my terrible Italian accent, but he's like, you need to stop calling Arduino something Arduino. It does not mean what you think it means. Because like someone named something like something Duino, but it ended up being like a swear word or something like that.
Oh, right.
It was really funny at the time. I'm sorry about my terrible accent, but
right.
It was like just the way you said it too. It was just really good.
Got it. So how many for our Italian listeners out there? How many Italian words end in Duino?
Yeah, right. How many bad ones? How many bad words, right?
How many bad words end in Duino?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's like hundreds of them. Like not words, but there's hundreds of products. I'm guilty of it. I've got a micro Duino RGB thing. Had Duino in there, and it's
Yeah, people look for
hundreds,
just kind of to carry on the success, right? And having a name recognition of sorts, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and people should remember that you can't actually call an Arduino unless it's licensed by them. So that is very specific,
it's a trademark.
Right? Yep. That's a trademark thing. So I guess that kind of skirts the issue, but yeah, sometimes you just look like you don't know Italian.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah. They've got
They also had a robot. I didn't see much about the robot, but they also have a robot kit. So,
Arduino have a robot kit?
Yeah. I think they're working with partners and stuff. So,
right. Oh, there you go. Yeah, they do. They're working with lots of partners to do. A lot of this is not in house. It comes from various partners and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not 100% in house stuff. They're always teaming up with.
Yeah, which is great.
People.
That is a very powerful thing to do, I think,
Yep.
Helps expand your reach and your integration with other things, so that's good.
Absolutely. I mean, there's only so many projects you can do in-house, really.
Oh, yeah.
So, it does make sense.
Yeah, it's all about what you want to focus on.
What's this crap about Rat Shack are going to be selling...
Rat Shack? Yeah, well, speaking
Rat
of...
Shack. Radio Shack.
Co-branding and everything, right?
Or Tandy, as it was called.
Yeah, back in the day. Radio Shack
back
for
the you Yanks.
Those not in the know, right? Them and Make are going to start co-branding stuff. And really, I think it just means that Make is going to get more... I mean, they already have a bunch of stuff. If you go into Radio Shack today, at least near me, I mean, they have a section usually with like Make Electronics type stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but it's good. I mean, because it's like, you know, you look at Radio Shack and that was dwindling to be their only electronic stuff for a while. So, you know, even just having a small display is a good step forward. And if they're focusing on that stuff,
can you still buy the 2 resistors in the blister pack for
you got to do that.
Right?
Yeah. That's painful, man. I've paid 99 cents for a diode before.
yeah, so have I. Yeah,
yep.
Back in the day. Yep, I'd save up my money, and I'd go to Tandy and I'd buy my couple of chips and my few resistors, and I'd build up my circuit on the breadboard, and
Yep, that gets better too. People starting out when you start to buy more than one thing, it gets better too. Just like looking at schematics.
Yep.
How
do you store the shit though? I still have not. You know how we were talking about earlier in the show about you'd buy 50 components because you might just need them, but then where do you put them so that you can retrieve them easily later? I'm just
I
nailed
was
that
actually
one
talking
yet.
to
Still
someone
haven't
about
nailed
that.
it.
At Hamvention, they were saying that because we were talking about resistors, and we saw there was someone selling resistors off the reel at some ridiculous price,
right?
And they were saying like if you go on eBay, you can get pretty standard resistor values, nothing fancy, like it won't be like the highest E series resistors, but you can get a pretty good chunk, and they said it was like an entire series like 0 ohm up through like a mega ohm or 10 mega ohms.
Yeah, you can buy entire kits. I've bought kits. Yeah,
and it was they said
I've
it was like $20,
yep.
$20 for that, and $40 if you get it in a binder.
Yep, and they give you every value from
if it's SMT.
in the E24 series.
I like the binder method a lot. I don't like the drawer method for SMT and having cut tape. But for through-hole resistors, man, I don't even know. That is a innovation that still needs to be.
Well, no,
like the
resistors and caps
or
resistors and caps are pretty easy, right? Yeah, you just have your drawers and you label them, and that's Bob's your uncle. But things like chips.
Yeah, well, you could do the same thing with chips. You can do the label and then a little black foam and stick them in the foam and bottom of the drawer.
But then you got to characterize them and categorize them. Sorry, and do you categorize them into just op amps, or do you characterize them into categorize them? I made the same mistake again. How do you categorize all these obscure parts that you get? Because most designs, like you're not going to... Well, most of my designs end up having parts that, I never have in my junk box because they're not jelly bean parts. They're always, very specific. Half the projects in my latest... Half the components in my latest project will be very specific.
Yeah.
Well,
you mean you can continue doing the method you do. I mean, and I think it's a good method in general. Just do it by project and then have the box for the project.
By projects and have a box with all the components in the... Yep. And then you've got to remember, I used that... Oh, yeah, I used that component in that project. So I go look in that project box. And at the moment, it's probably the only way that I do things.
I think that's an effective method. I mean, it's probably the most likely for how you work.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know.
It depends what kind of work you're doing though too. I mean, if you're just kind of tinkering, then you want maybe you want just the pile of components and you want to dig through it, or but it's usually a diminishing returns of how much time you want to spend on the organization system.
Organizing and exactly. Yeah.
I saw
I don't want to.
In Jack Gansel's newsletter today, which is a great newsletter and one of my favorites. It's the Embedded Muse. But someone wrote into that about talking about Part Keeper. Did we ever talk about that on here? Part Keeper.
I don't think so.
There's like no E. It's like Part Keep and then just an R.
Right.
No E.
Right. Yeah, right.
But it's a Linux-based tracking system. It's basically like a fancy spreadsheet for like doing, but it's actually like a program for doing like tracking, and then you can host it on a server. Yeah, inventory
tracking your hobbyist inventory of all your hobbyist parts. But once again, how much effort goes into maintaining something like that?
The maintenance would be the easier part with that, right? Because once you basically it would be like having like a part stores, like what is that called? Like companies sometimes have the cage, like you go back to the
yes,
cage and you sign up parts.
Yeah,
and everything.
but I hated that. I don't want to have to do that in my own bloody lab. Like every time I get a resistor out, I've got to go over and update the database.
No.
Screw that.
So the thing that would be good though would be to. Okay, here is the next Kickstarter idea I want to see.
Oh God, here we go.
Get your notepads ready, kids. Right. I want to see a low cost.
You too can steal Chris's idea. Get ready.
Please do.
Here we go.
Tie part keeper to like a dispenser, right? You have like a little, like a candy dispenser or something like that, and just so you have to type it in, right? And then it just craps out the parts to you, right? You just hold out your hand and it just throws out the parts to you like a vending machine. That's one way to do it. It would be a truly electronic method of doing so, right? And if you got a low cost mechanism, you could potentially do it. I'm just saying.
Why not just hire 10 trained monkeys to sort and gather all your parts for you?
Yeah, right. Well, eventually one of the monkeys will end up eating one of the components, and then your count is off, and then you're screwed.
Exactly, because you thought you had one in stock, because you trusted your stupid, dumbass database.
Yeah, that's like
no.
I keep a little coin jar with like a counter. As you put a coin in, it counts stuff. And I was like,
right.
I told my wife the other day, we hit like $45 as I put a quarter in, and she's like, that's all wrong. I take change out of there all the time, right? It's the same thing people do with parts,
Yeah.
Like everybody does that when there's a parts room and it's like 8 p.m. and you're the only one there. You're not going to fill out a parts form for requisitioning parts.
You're just going to nick the part.
You're just sneaking in the back,
to do your job,
Yeah. I'll tell them tomorrow. You never tell them tomorrow,
that's right.
And then they do the count, and then everybody gets in trouble, and of course I never did that, but I've known people who do that. But honestly, I've only ever had that at places where there's manufacturing on site. There's never a parts room unless when there wasn't manufacturing on site, then there wasn't a parts room because there's no one to steal from.
I've worked at a company. Every company I've had at's had a parts room, and we didn't do in-house manufacture of boards.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
no, it'd be for like servicing, prototyping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, just servicing, prototyping, and usually, and often back in the old day, we used to have a full-time lab person who would take care of that. We'd have a lab manager of, and they just sort of keep it all sorted and stocked up, and
Yep.
And I got to admit, it's very handy when it's in place. You can just walk over the drawer and and it's there.
Yeah. If there's someone there cursing you after you didn't,
right,
didn't fill out the little card, the Kanban card once it's empty or something, right? Everybody's done that one. Please fill out this card once the drawer is empty. Yeah, if I don't care enough to fill out the card, you're probably not going to know about it until the next time I start screaming about why the drawer's empty, But with this idea, if you had like a little weight sensor in there, you could do inventory management. You could, come on, man, someone's got to do it. I will pay at least $25 for this magical device.
For this automated system. Yep. And if you pay $50, your perk is a free 3D chip printer.
Yeah, of course, right. Why dispense parts when you can build your own?
Right, yeah.
Oh, man.
No, come on. We're really scraping the barrel here, Lara.
No. This is important stuff, man.
This is important industry talk, huh?
Yes. You never know when you need to distribute parts, Even though I don't get a lab manager anymore, nor I just keep my own parts these days. So
yeah.
I just have the box, just the one box that I have to dig through each time I need something.
Oh boy! Speaking of 3D printers, kind of, Buddy has done a teardown of the new Formlabs 3D printer, which, if you remember, I don't know, how much did they raise on
I think $1 million plus.
$1 million plus, was it?
Yeah.
Here it is. I'm going to call it up. Be able to tell you precisely. 2.945 million, almost 3 million smackers of their $100,000 goal.
Yeah.
That is a lot. And, that's only 2,000 backers, right? It's
right, because it costs like $2,200 a piece or something.
Yeah, 2500. Yeah,
2500.
So,
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, this was. This is a very
cheap.
precise printer too. I mean, it was a stereolithography, and they got them out too. That's the other impressive thing. I think we mentioned it at some point.
That's what I'm impressed at, is that they're actually they're not shipping production units yet, but Bunny got a beta unit
early. Yeah.
So yeah.
Although for a beater unit, it looks pretty nice. I mean, this is
it comes in a nice professional box, and the unit itself looks great.
Yeah.
Very sort
cool.
of very sort of 70s vintage retro orange perspex cover on it.
Oh yeah, it reminds me of. I used to have a Lego kit that had that same kind of glass. That
right. Yep.
Orange Pyrex, and they do that for blocking out light because it's a light sensitive goop. But it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, and it looks very professionally put together. I'm very impressed because I know how much work goes into producing such a kit. Well, it isn't a kit; it's a finished product. I mean, you don't buy a kit of parts. It's,
Yeah, I think this one would be a bit difficult if it was a kit, but it's cool that you got an early version. I mean, it looks like it's a 2 or 3 board assembly, and they've got a lot of precise stuff in there too. Like they actually have to form
lasers
a laser,
and mirrors, and all sorts of stuff.
Small tasks. So
there's lots of trim pots in there too.
I didn't see the trim. On the power supply board or on the main board?
Motor drivers by the looks of it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They're tweaking some stuff.
Yeah, that's fun. I've never had to do calibration like that, but I've heard stories about the magic technician who knew just which how many turns to go.
Yeah, that's it. That's right.
That's
But yeah, I'm very impressed that they got this product out. It's
Yeah, scaling would be the next challenge. It probably
needed all of that money. It probably needed all that money. I don't know how much profit they'd end up getting in the end. Well, because it's a very professional looking product. It just takes a lot of money to perfect that. They wouldn't have got that bang first go.
Yeah.
They would have, gone through a few iterations, and it's just very impressive. I like it. And
we should also, since we borrowed the Bunny's review, he also hawks the position at the bottom that they're looking for a double E. So if people are interested in,
yes, that's right,
5,000 double E's clamoring for the same position at a cool new company. Although I don't think these, they're MIT grads, so I think they're going to be looking for top notch, and I think the amp hour can supply it. So go for it.
And yes, folks, they are late.
Oh, of course,
as all these projects are.
Oh yeah. Yep. Well, yeah. Packing and shipping takes a long time. Did you see this Intel Science Fair stuff? Speaking of new technology that
I've got it open here, and what is it? Students?
It's students. Yeah. So every year Intel does a competition for science fair type of stuff, and then they give the winning students scholarships towards whatever college they're going to or towards their research. Cool. Yeah, it's great. I mean, the first story I saw on it, actually, the reason I got really interested in it, someone sent me a story, and it quoted the winner's name as Gordon E. Moore. And I'm like, whoa, that is a hell of a coincidence that the winner of the Intel scholarship is named also Gordon E. Moore. And no, it turns out, I forget what his name is, but it's definitely, he's from Ukraine, I think, or something, and his name is definitely not Gordon E. Moore. He won the Gordon E. Moore Prize.
Moore. Right, I got it.
Yes. Internet reporting, folks. But the interesting thing was, and it was Guan on Twitter who sent me this, but it was because the first runner-up was a supercapacitor who claimed, it was a chemistry student who made supercapacitors and claiming that it's going to revolutionize cell phones and charge cars and everything. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll check this out. And then you kind of dig in a little bit, like, after charging the supercapacitor for 20 seconds, while the news report said it could charge a cell phone, it could light up an LED. So,
right, yeah.
No, while the feat itself is actually, making a supercapacitor is actually very impressive for a student. And,
yes, it is.
But once again, the media
the practical implementation of the finished product. Yeah.
Well, I think it's just
to be desired.
The telephone aspect of, someone made something groundbreaking. Well, they made something very amazing, but it's not changing any technology anytime soon. So very, very cool. I'm really glad Intel does this stuff though. And they get tons of applications, like 1,600, I think.
Wow.
So,
jeez. Yep.
Very cool.
But that's always the way, isn't it? I mean, companies, media, I guess we're...
yes, we're in that as well. We've been known to misspeak here and there.
We're lumped in that, I'm afraid. But, they always, they'll do an article on somebody's done some research on a new battery technology or something, and they go, it'll be able to, within... a year or two, we'll have, smartphones that run for a month or whatever, on a single charge. It's like, it's bullshit. They've just done a little bit of research and you're just extrapolating, all the people that are doing the research. They're also guilty sometimes, often. Yeah. People who are doing the research, they just extrapolate thinking that their little test sample or whatever is going to be linearly extrapolated out to, kingdom come. It's just ridiculous.
Right, and at this we have one user on our website now, and the next week we had 10 users, and at this growth rate we will have more people than the planet in about 3 months.
That's right. That's right.
Yep, that's how it goes. The only step in there that's missing.
Every entrepreneur, every researcher in every field on the planet is guilty of this, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, the only step in there is also swindling some VCs at some point as well, getting the $100 million valuation as well.
Right. So they're the smart ones, right? The smart ones are the ones who take advantage of the bullshit, right?
Take the money and run, yeah. Yeah.
See, nobody takes the money and runs anymore. That's old-fashioned scamming. Now it's take the money and waste it, to actually spend and try and have some fun and work on your widget for a year and hire all your friends and and then just blow it all. Oops, sorry, we ran out of money.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah, it's a risky investment, I guess. Good luck.
Next startup.
Yep.
Oh dear, dear.
Speaking of students and early technology. There was another story that I took some general interest in this. So apparently it's for computer science, but Georgia Tech, Udacity, which is an online most massive online open courseware site, and then AT&T, who's helping sponsor it. So they are offering, and Georgia Tech is I think the number 4 engineering school in the nation, I think, or the top 5 at least somewhere. For $7,000, you can get an accredited master's degree through this kind of program, which maybe in other countries isn't an unreasonably low sum, but in the United States, that's
low,
crazy low number.
Do they let anyone in with the money? Like, do you have to have a suitable undergraduate degree to be let into the masters?
You're going to have to apply for this. This isn't going to be an anyone gets in. Because that would dilute it, right? Okay. I mean, it still has to be, choosing people that can do it and also will finish it, right? But,
right.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. A master's degree for $7,000. I mean, now, granted, a lot of people who do master's degree, not a lot, but some people who do master's degrees, especially in the STEM fields, they sometimes can get fellowships or apprenticeships or, well, no, that's not the right word, but, basically funding through research grants and everything else to work with, work on a research project, and that also helps pay for their tuition. But tuition, at least, is, last time I looked at some of the, my alma mater and other ones, it's like, a year of graduate school can be an easy $30,000. So, this being $7,000 is pretty impressive.
Cheap as chips.
Yeah. Although you do lose out on stuff. I mean, that's always important to remember as well. I mean, this wouldn't be necessarily possible in hardware because you wouldn't have access to facilities and stuff. But even in this thing, you lose out on, in-person contact, networking, a lot of the things that are really a big value of graduate school. Research methods, everything else, right? Maybe with people that are more lone wolf in the first place, it might still be a good fit. But man, that's cheap.
Are they offering your dream course? Masters in social media business marketing?
Masters in punching you in the face?
Come on, it's your dream, I know.
No, it's not. No.
Combined with an MBA, I know it is.
They do have online MBAs, but I don't know if Georgia Tech does, but there are some out there. I mean, yeah, there's lots of programs like that. I mean, but usually it's not this cheap. I mean, they'll still charge a lot for it. You see a lot of I hear like radio ads for like schools in the area doing like executive MBAs, and that's when I start to
yeah.
They're like, oh, just one class per month, one Saturday every month. It's like, really? I mean, like at a certain point, you're just paying someone to give you a piece of paper, right?
Yes.
I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
School should still have some value here, I don't know.
What, actually teach you something?
Right,
I know. Come on, get with the program.
I know.
This is 2013.
Yeah. I started doing, I got an email from Code Academy the other day, and I started back in on their program. Apparently attrition rates are really high on these like coding programs and everything, and I'm guilty of it as well. But, I've always wanted to learn Python, and Code Academy has a Python module. And so I started doing it again, got distracted and haven't gone back. But, there are a lot of great resources out there for that kind of thing, follow along. And apparently this is going to also allow you to get a master's degree, so it'll be interesting to see how it all works out.
Well,
if it does nothing more than lower the cost overall of education, that's all I care about, because, at a certain point I'm going to start agreeing with Peter Thiel and, telling people not to go to school at all, right?
Right, yeah.
Like the Thiel fellowships, and I think that's a little extreme, but I think, paying $200,000 for a degree is also pretty extreme, at least in the States.
It's pretty stupid, yeah, exactly.
What's the going rate in Aussie land these days?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't follow it, but I can guesstimate it's $20,000-$30,000.
Really? Okay, so maybe. That's going up there too.
Yeah.
Because some places, I think I talked to someone in the UK, and they said, yeah, it's going up, even where it's subsidized by, then there's state tuition in some places in the States as well. Like a state school like Ohio State University, or the Ohio State University. Excuse me. It's
that's actually funded. That's subsidized by the taxpayer, is it?
Yeah, basically, if you're in state, you get a lower tuition. So
right, okay.
Like if I went there, it would be $10,000 cheaper or something. But it's still a lot, and it's going up all the time. So
got it.
That is a bubble ready to burst, in my opinion.
And you want to know what the reason why it gets out of hand? Well, especially here, I assume it's very similar. I think it's very similar in the US. Is that you basically don't have to pay for it. Well, you don't have to pay for it up front because the government gives you a loan, right?
Yeah.
And then you don't. So if you're a young whippersnapper, you want to go to university, the government will pay for it.
Yeah.
You just have to remember that. Well, ultimately, you've got to pay it back sometime.
Yeah.
And here, once you earn a certain amount, and you file your tax return, it automatically comes back out of your tax return each year. And you slowly pay it off. Oh, yeah. So you can't escape it.
You can't here either.
No, they're tracking you.
Yeah, the only way you can do it here is if you die. That's the only way your student loan debt goes away. If you file bankruptcy, it doesn't go away.
Oh, right. Well, no, this one, same here. I don't think it won't ever vanish, but if you never earn enough to reach the threshold, then technically you would never have to pay it back for the rest of your life.
So you failed in two ways.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, money is not a measure of success. I'm sorry, that was a crappy thing for me to say.
No, but I'm talking like it's like minimum, like $30,000 a year or something like me. Yeah, so if you're not even earning that, then you're not paying.
Yeah.
Well, then, you're doing pretty poorly.
Yeah. It's crappy,
you're
man.
Eating cat food,
Yeah, I wish it was cheaper, because, I mean, hell, I don't necessarily want to go back to school, but I understand the draw of it. I mean, obviously I went through it, right? I mean, you went through it. It's like there is a very big draw to being at a point in your life where you're just focused on learning, and it's exciting, and it's just a great time, right? It's still hard, but it's very rare, right? And I get it, and I'm still paying my loans back. Don't kid yourself, But
right.
I just wish people didn't have to. I wish there were other options out there that were that then employers looked at, right? And that's the next step up from this online thing. You know, like it would be if you had a large corporation that was looking at the employment field, right? And like say at Google, right? And they said, all right, well, we think we can find programmers and maybe hardware people that if they go through this program that we develop online, then we're willing to hire them or interview and hire them, right? And if you take the university degree as the gating factor, right? That ultimately is what is the gating factor here. That's what's driving the price of everything up, because if you don't have that piece of paper, then you can't get a job, no matter how good you are at, you know, doing electronics or coding, whatever else, right? Unless you find backdoor methods to doing that kind of thing. I want to fix the world sometimes, Dave. It's just hard to fix.
You can't. The world just sucks sometimes.
It does suck. You know, I think the focus though is that, and you know, I think looking at how people have done it, you know, like talking about Jerry, right? Jerry was self-taught for a lot of stuff, and what it ultimately came down to, I mean, she's told her story a couple times, but you know, like she networked to jobs, she found mentors, she networked, right? And then eventually she was doing work on her own. It's just not following. She was following a non-traditional career path. Same with Jack Gansel, right? Jack didn't finish college, he said, and you know he started his own company, right? And that, I think at that point, it's kind of mother of necessity being the mother of invention in that case, right? You know, it's if you can't find a job, you make a job, and in both their cases and in other cases as well, you know, like that's the option. And if that became the norm, then maybe the university education wouldn't matter as much. It would be just the merit of your work and what you've designed. But until then,
I've always said that's in the electronics industry, at least here in Australia, that's how it works.
Oh, really?
Nobody gives a shit if you're what school you went to, what degree you got. Nobody cares. Can you do the job? Yes, no, you're hired.
Right, but do they still gate it with a degree? Do they care? I mean, like...
No.
Okay.
Most employers, the majority of employers in the electronics industry do not care.
Well...
All they care about is, can you do the job?
That's great. I mean, because that's how it should be, I think.
Well, yeah, of course. There are some regulated, you know, like the medical industry or something. You know, it's next to impossible to get an engineering job in a medical company, for example, without being a member of the Institute of Engineers, for example.
Oh, interesting.
Or some government department, for example. So, yeah. But as far as the free market goes, no, it's different. It doesn't matter a rat's.
Well, that's good then, because I mean, at least around here, I mean, at least in the States, with like, you know, like you look at like a job fair or big companies, right? People that you think about, people that want to, companies that people want to work at. When you ask like the general engineering populace, you know, top employers and stuff, you know, like the Googles and the Apples and everything else, many of them have that gating factor of do you have a degree, because it gives a certain. Usually it indicates,
of course,
a proficiency and, you know, dedication to hard work and stuff, but it's not the only way, right? So,
no, that's right.
But you're saying that even big companies don't care?
Big companies don't care.
Well, that is impressive, because
every
big company I've ever talked to has got an HR department that really, really cares, and they suck.
No, I'm talking, you know, $50 billion companies. I'm talking big companies.
Yeah. Oh, that's good then.
I'm talking the world's largest defense contractor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then I hope that becomes the norm, because that should be. But
you've got to keep a tight rein over the HR department. If you let the HR department run the shop, then yes, they will exclude all those people, right? Automatically. You've got to tell them, look, I don't give a shit. Give me all the damn resumes. Right, you've got to tell them not to do their job, basically, which isn't much. their job isn't much at all.
Right.
Yes, I am saying HR departments are redundant, because
what I'm saying is I hate you, HR. No, I don't think we have any HR listeners. So if we do,
right, worthless.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's interesting. I didn't realize like that out there, but I do agree that if HR gets in charge, it's usually.
It's usually and it can also depend on the, you know, like a head of a department who's hiring somebody. They will instruct HR, look, I only want people with X level degree from ex-colleges. I don't want anyone from Zagazig University getting in here, right?
Yeah.
Sorry to all the people who've been to Zagazig University, because that is actually a real university.
No, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember seeing, there was an EEV blog forum post about this whole topic at one point, I think, as well.
Oh, yeah. Of course there is.
Yeah.
There's a forum talking about everything.
Oh, yes. It's eevblog.com/forum.
That's right.
All right, we should
we're going 20 minutes over.
I know, but we should go through the rapid-fire news stories at the end, because there are some interesting ones. All right, here we go.
Yeah, Tinkercad found a new home at Autodesk. Yeah, they're back from the ashes, Phoenix-like. Yep, fine.
Circuit Hub. Andrew Seddon was on the show previously. Circuit Hub is now supporting KiCad, at least in a beta stage. So, rockin', bring it on. That's awesome. Let's see.
Beta. Bloody Yanks.
Beta.
I don't know.
QB has been released. I think it might have been out for a little while, but there's a new version of QB, so check that out.
I didn't know there was an old version of QB.
Yeah, it's a A10, similar, another process, another A10 processor, similar to like a Raspberry Pi. It's a high-powered ARM, basically.
Yep. Right.
My point on that was community matters, and it's starting to get where community matters much more than specs, because everything has these low-cost chips on them, but if you don't have people that are also working on it, then screw it.
No. Yep.
But I think that's it. Is that it? There's probably other stuff.
Yeah, we do have a workbench photo, though.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody sent this in.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
I don't have the name.
It is the one true stick man. He actually didn't want his
true stick man.
His
Does
real
he have
name
a real
shared.
Name?
No, he didn't want that shared. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, he's the one true stick man.
He is. Yeah. It's a nice bench.
And that's a schmick looking. Lab.
Yeah, I like it.
I like that. It's
Good
just
setup.
it's just built high. It's built right to the roof, and it's on a desk with the computers and a tiny little workbench there, and it's just there it is.
Yeah,
it's all there. I love the blender down in the bottom left corner.
Oh yeah, there was an oscillator there. Actually, I got a oscillator at the swap meet.
Old school. Which model?
Oh, I had it here. It's the it's heavy. It's on the ground. It is an HP L4, I guess. There's a long. I don't know what it is.
It was cool.
It was
right?
the end of the show by. It was honestly like we were walking out on Saturday right at close, and we were like, I was like, oh, because I had been looking for one, and I was like, how much for that? $10? Yeah, no big deal. So yeah,
sweet.
If nothing more, it's a beefy case. I actually haven't tested it yet, but we cracked it open at the meetup, and it was very nice construction inside. I'll try and.
Does it have a light bulb stabilized Wien oscillator in it?
Yeah, we think so. We didn't. There was really poor lighting in the bar we were at, but yeah, it's awesome to roll into a bar with a bunch of fellow nerds and to bring in an oscillator and crack it open. And to have everyone excited about that, except for, the regulars at the bar.
I'm surprised they didn't call Homeland Security.
Yeah, right? It's Dayton. Dayton's a pretty rough and tumble city. They're probably used to it out there.
Right. Cool.
All right.
That's our show, surely.
Yes. Hopefully we'll have a guest next week. A certain...
Hopefully.
Jerry guest.
Big surprise.
See you then.
Bye.
This episode was sponsored by Club Jameco. Upload your project brief today, and if approved, you'll get a 10% off coupon. If chosen by the community, you'll make 10% off any kit sold without ever needing to buy or bag components. Go to clubjameco.com/theamphour to find more details and to support the show. So someone left their Ray-Bans at the meetup, even though it was dark by the time we got there. But anyways, I have them, and if you want them back, and you can prove you were there, because this ain't no sunglass giveaway, shoot me an email. Chris@theamphour.com.